Happy New Year, according to Larry David.
Yeah, apparently not, according to the statute of limitation or something. I'm going to have to look this up, man.
3 days.
Yeah.
You got 3 days to say Happy New Year and then
Done.
So
we're like a couple weeks past that idea, right?
yeah, we are.
Which is typical for us.
Yeah. Well, it is a new year, 2022. Here we are in Le Chateau de Arborescence, moving up from the Dunny, but classing it down.
Classing it down in Le Chateau. So what do we got today, man? This is our first episode, 2022.
Man, we got some vittles.
Yep.
It's kind of like a 2-part series where it's going to be like reflection on 2021 and then intentions for 2022.
Looking ahead a little bit.
Looking ahead.
Ooh, that's fun, man.
It is fun.
Come on.
So, listening back to some of the people we interviewed, it's really hard to listen to you and I, but really rewarding to listen to those people that we got the opportunity to meet.
Do you think our listeners experience it the same way?
I would have a hard time believing that they didn't.
Yeah, it is hard to believe that. Yeah. Yeah, so looking back on the year, we had some really great interviews, I thought. And like you're saying, the people who came through the chateau.
Yeah, such cool people to meet. That's actually been, so like the 2 elements of this show that are actual outcomes is just that, man, it's a good time. Like, it cracks me up.
Yeah, we have fun.
And then the people we get to meet, I always come out of them like, I'd love to spend more time with this person even. Like, what great people, what cool people we have.
Totally. Sometimes, 90 minutes in Le Chateau just doesn't feel like enough.
Doesn't cut it. Yeah. So we thought maybe we could just play back some highlights from some of those people that we got the opportunity to sit with in the last year. And it's mostly over the latter half of the year because we had so much shift and adjustment in that first half of the year. And then we got back on track with the podcast in the latter half.
Yeah, 21, we finished mindfulness in February maybe or January. And then we picked back up in I think it was June or July, right? Yeah,
and I think you're skipping that really important Valentine's episode that we did where we gave gift-giving advice.
Oh, yeah. I might have done that intentionally on a very low surface level. Below the surface.
That one should actually just be deleted from the catalog.
Yeah. Every so often, Dan and I just go through a catalog and like, should we flip the coin or whether we just get rid of this one? Pretend it never existed or what?
I don't think I'd be the best person to go through that with because the catalog would be running pretty thin.
Yeah, Dan's always just like, yep, can it. Just get rid of it. Essentially, our whole catalog would just look like interviews, and then you wouldn't even hear Dan and I.
Yeah. It'd be just cutting out all us asking questions or anything and just be the person responding.
Yeah, for sure. The 21 was a big year for us, man. We opened the counseling center, and then we're able to pick up the pod again.
Yeah.
In, I guess that was June, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like there's so much on the horizon, too, with the Wellness Collective as a whole. So it's really exciting.
It is,
and 2021 felt like the year to grind out the foundation for all of that. It was a lot of work.
It really was. Yeah. I feel like my feet are on the ground a little bit again. Yeah. That was a pretty brutal year, but it was looking back on those podcasts, on those episodes and interviews. Like I do really feel good about a lot of those times.
Oh, so great to meet those people. And the person we jumped right back in with, and I didn't really know how to operate the equipment with.
Yeah.
So the sound of it makes me cringe, and yet the value of the interview was right up there for me, like top.
Yeah, I'm guessing Colleen.
Yeah. It's just such a phenomenal interview.
Yeah.
And there was one moment where she talked about, when she goes out to do something active on the land, that she doesn't see the land as her playground. She actually feels connected to everything around her. And so she uses that moment, like running was the example she was using, but like paying attention to all the living things around her.
Yeah, and that we're kind of isolating ourselves from the living natural world in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Some of these outdoor spaces as a place to play or, to train for races or those kind of things. And I think it's when I'm outside, for me, it's, stopping to, smell the flowers or see what kind of critters are nearby. Even when I'm running, I can hear the lizards, kind of scramble through the bushes or something, that there's life there. I don't think some people realize that, there's so much life around these places along the trails. And we're not the only ones, moving through the world that are alive, right? And I think we we forget that because we're just always inside a box between four walls, and we're building more boxes around us and more concrete around us. So we're pushing away those lizards and other living beings, or destroying the trees to create a building or something, or roads. And so we're pushing those things out.
The sage wisdom of Colleen.
Yeah, what a great quote. I like a section of that interview. And I really do, like you're saying, her interview in its entirety, the things that she shares are just so important. I would really encourage our listeners to go back and listen to that one if you haven't had a chance.
Yeah, and she's been very active as well.
Yeah, she launched her like a consulting business or something she's doing with consulting, and she can be found online as well.
Yeah. And after Colleen, we had, the legend, Natural Neil.
Natural Neil himself, man. What a pleasure. That was one where we spent 90 minutes recording and then probably 3 hours talking kind of thing.
Yeah, and it could have gone longer, like so many good stories.
Yeah. Getting Flagstaff history, his experience of getting out here, his involvement in the community, just a real staple for bringing people together.
Yeah. And the highlight that sticks out to me about old Natural Neil is his reference to back in the Dizzle.
Yeah.
Shaky Drakes.
Man, this really kind of started something for us. We went on this little bit of a hunt to try to learn more about Shaky Drakes back in the day, and then learned that we might be in some danger.
Well, I got to be frank with you. I think we dropped the ball. I think we opened the door to go down that path, and then things were just busy. I actually want to re-pursue this. I don't know how you feel about that, but I want to see what we can do to follow up on some leads with Shaky Drakes.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. I think once we started dipping our toes in there a little bit, we started crossing some names with people with connections to mafias and that sort of thing. It was like, I think we're good.
No, man. I'm all in.
You're all in?
Yeah.
You're afraid of us go to New York City, but let's go on an investigation of Shaky Drakes in the 80s.
Yeah. So
that's great.
Let me play you the snippets of information we do have about Shaky Drakes.
Yeah.
And then, I think we should continue.
Yeah, I'm with you. Come on. This is fun.
The first place we actually went was the Mad Italian. Actually, Shaky Drakes, but it turned out Shaky Drakes was no longer a bar from what our professor remembered. It was Shaky Drakes, the strip joint. So we went across the street to the Mad Italian.
Yeah, man, what a trip. Yeah, it's good to see you, Dunny. We're on the heels of that Neil episode.
Oh, that was great. Such good stories. Good guy.
Yeah.
I'm excited that we got a little bit of response about old Shaky Drakes.
Shaky Drakes. Yeah, that was a big thing. You know, I think we mentioned this in the episode, right? Is that we ended up talking with Neil for another hour.
Yeah.
If we got a little more insight into Shaky Drakes. And then just kind of happen chance, we've collected a little bit more data about Shaky Drakes. And we learned that this was a spot. Yeah. Yeah, so, we collected a little bit of data that suggested that they didn't used to really card anyone back in the day. So in the late 70s, it sounded like a come one, come all sort of situation. So if you want to be an underage person and collect yourself some booze, Shaky Drakes was the joint.
That was your jam.
That was the jam. So, what I see for us is this emerging picture of this place in the seedy underbelly of Flag in the, 70s, 80s?
Is that I don't know when it opened, but Neil was referenced in the mid 80s. These other stories, do you know what
late
generation?
70s.
Late 70s?
Late 70s, I think, is what we learned.
So we're looking at a 5 to 10 year span here.
Yeah, so for our listeners, Dan and I are clearly doing our best to just, journalistically and so methodically put this stuff together, right? We're looking for more data.
We got one of those cork boards with string.
All the yarn going towards
yeah.
So we're trying to find out who's at the top of Shaky Drakes here.
Shaky Drakes.
Yeah.
So please, actually, this is a sincere invitation. If you have any personal experiences with Shaky Drakes, or if you know of others and have heard anecdotes about Shaky Drakes, please reach out to us.
Please hit us up. You can hit us up on the gram. You can find us on the interwebs. Yeah.
On the website. Yeah.
We got those security
Twitter,
emails. Yeah.
Just anything. Just hit us up with them Shaky Drake stories.
Yes, no doubt.
So Shaky Drakes, we got to follow up on Also, that was just one snippet, small window into what it was like to meet with Natranil and his like just profound memory of history here in Flagstaff.
Yeah, for sure. What a fun. Yeah, that was a ton of fun.
It was.
Yeah, Natranil. Yeah, so that's just to whet your appetite a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Shaky Drakes. Go check out the Neil episode.
Then we moved into a lot of that heady stuff.
Woo! Just a bunch of dudes heading it up.
Deep dive.
Yeah. Deep dive, man. Brian Peterson.
Yeah, BP. So you came up, you crafted the name BP the Pod God.
Yeah, I think part of that was just how natural he was speaking about a lot of the things that seemed to be, I don't know, like just to roll these concepts and ideas off the tongue so eloquently and like just second nature sort of thing.
Yeah.
It seemed like he could be a radio host or something like that, just naturally.
Oh, it is for sure. And also he spoke 2 or 3 levels well above us.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those ones you just kind of nod, like, yeah, man, keep going. Yeah, you tripled my IQ, so that's cool. I'll do my best.
He addresses the need for systemic change rather than just changing the context or changing the things that we're consuming. And so this clip just is a snippet of him addressing what's needed.
Yeah, come on.
What we're talking about is a systemic change, a cultural change, moving away from GDP, for example, questioning, this sort of rush for just more of everything all the time in order to support profits. If that's our goal, we're doing great. But again, we're getting to the point where it's going to be hard for the earth to sustain civilization if we continue that. And so we really need to think about systemic changes about how we're organizing ourselves, our priorities, and moving away from all the metrics we have now. And instead of just having more, actually we need less of everything. Rather than a billion new electric cars, we need to cut down a billion cars that we already have and do so in a way that allows people to get around and have a functioning livelihood. That's where we need to get to. And so that's what unfortunately most of the conversation around what to do around climate change is focused on, buying things. And we want to just get completely away from that.
I guess as the Beastie Boys say, dropping the knowledge.
Dropping the knowledge.
Yeah. And then we moved into Shannon, it was really cool to hear her experience working with athletes specifically in the field of psychology.
Yeah, and I loved hearing her story about making out to Flag. It was just such a good time. Her experience of coming through here and sort of just how she landed here. Yeah,
ending up back here. I think her story of where she landed professionally is really cool. And she really undersold it because it wasn't like a traditional path and so for me, I had this snippet when I listened back to it where she references that she doesn't think she's a good role model to follow if people ask her how did she get to what she's doing or what they could do to get there. And but she concludes by saying, I did follow my heart. And I actually think that's the crux of it all.
Yeah, I think I can't remember if we did or did not here, but gently challenged her on this idea of I think that's actually the thing to do. From a mindfulness perspective, they say lead with your heart. And I think she really exemplified that.
Yeah, so, probably like you guys, I get people asking once in a while, hey, what was your career path? What was your academic path? Because some of them might want to do what you do, right? And I always say I'm the best and worst person to ask because you shouldn't try to do it the way I went because it's not not recommended. But I did follow obviously I follow my instincts and follow my heart, and I do always advocate for that.
Yeah, I'm on track. I think follow your heart. I think she is a good role model.
Yeah. And great episode again. And she has so much knowledge, man. Having gone to UPenn and positive psychology and everything she's incorporating in what she's doing is really fun to hear from her and get to know her as well. Yeah.
Then we had Emma.
Man.
Emma's just willing to tackle life.
Man. This is like a series of powerhouses, man. Just amazing people. This was one for me. I think I highlighted this in episode 2. Is I felt like we were gypped, man. Just not enough time.
Yeah.
We were kind of running late and we had appointments and had to fit it into a window, which was a bummer because I would have loved to let that interview just continue.
Yeah. and she spoke so well about her life experiences and her life experiences in growing GCY and then also being a river guide. I think those stories there's so many ways you can draw analogies to living life generally. So the clip that sticks out to me for her is her reference to these two elements of her experience on the river that she really loves. One being like the exciting, like, whoa, this is crazy, I don't know what's going to happen element of the river. And the other element being that awe where everyone just kind of gets quiet and has this reverence for this space that just seems so, just so inspirational and impressive.
Yeah. All right. Well, hear me dams.
I go back to like my very first trip and running that paddle boat and coming up on a rapid that I didn't know at the time was of any significance, called Dubendorf. And we had been working together as a paddle crew for a little bit. And so we're like, okay, we got this. And then like getting in the rapid and just being lost. And it's like Land of the Lost, which dates me, right? Like that movie where they're just like, or that TV show where they're like going through the cave and they're just like spinning around, like, where are we? And then they end up in Land of the Dinosaurs. That's kind of what it felt like in the middle of the rapid for me. And so we're like, ah, and like I called a hold on, like you don't call a hold on unless you're like, what is going on? And so, you know, all the youth are just like holding on, going through this rapid and like getting to the bottom and being like, oh, we didn't flip. Are we okay? Yeah. And just like the cheers and just invigorating experience being with that group of youth. And maybe just because I was just thinking about it, like that was one of the things that popped into my mind in that way. But then I feel like invigorating is also these like really quiet moments because I think everybody thinks of river trips of like, the Nar and like the great rapids. And so
shred the Nar.
I want to like create the balance to that of, I think about sitting up in Kanab Creek, which is this like indescribable, beautiful, beautiful side canyon and just being there and being quiet with a group of youth and like no one saying like, we will now be quiet for 10 minutes, but just like, hey, we're going to hang out here for a little bit. And for teenagers who like, I love to joke, like you can put a group of teenagers in a white room, they are going to have an experience, right? Like they are going to. And so actually that time to like, just be quiet and like be in place and be in community in place quietly is like super invigorating because you come up and you're like, oh, like we're just in community and we don't have to talk about it, process it, do all of the things. And I think like that is something that's really special about the river too, is like both the like, wow, we made it through the rapid and this like natural quiet. Both of those are not like manipulated, like they just happen. And then I think trying to create that space to then reflect on those and say, okay, how is this relevant to our everyday lives? And like, what are those like gifts of the river that we can take with us? But I'm invigorated by both of those, those experiences, the quiet and the adventure.
Yeah. Emma.
Well done, Emma. Yeah, go check out Grand Canyon Youth if you haven't had a chance yet.
Yeah. And then,
the homies,
Kyle and Greta.
Yeah,
Greta
Towers.
and Kyle.
It was a great interview. That one sticks out in a lot of ways. It's just different in so many ways.
Yeah, recording in a different space. Yeah, having live music as part of the episode.
Yeah, it was our first time interviewing a couple, I believe.
Yeah,
more than one person.
It was. Yeah.
And it's just a very different experience. And for me, it was a great way to kind of cap the year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were very generous with, recording in their studio, offering their time, and being so thoughtful in their responses.
Yeah, for sure. And it seemed to me like very authentic, willing to kind of address in the same way that they do in their lyrics, but the human experience.
Yeah. So I picked a clip that I think speaks to this, where I don't know if you remember, but where they talk about playing a live show, like you kind of roll with it as it comes. Like there are voices that crack or mistakes that you perceive, and you kind of roll with that. That's all part of it.
Just go with it.
But the cool thing about a live show is like, you don't just say, oh, stop, like, let's redo that. You know, you keep going. And
it's real life.
Yeah. It's almost just like a good analogy for life. Like that stuff's going to happen. We're going to keep going. We're going to have fun. Like sometimes we might get frustrated at it. Sometimes we might laugh at it together, and it's okay. And it's all part of it. And I think even being musicians and even getting to tour with other bands or go to other shows, like I love that. Sometimes when someone is putting on a show and like their voice cracks or something little happens, it's like, I love it. It makes me feel like they're human and I can connect with them and I appreciate it. So yeah, I think it's just that recognition and learning of just like, okay, that's going to happen and I'm going to go out there and try my best and I want to do this with excellence, but it's okay. And we can love ourselves through it and encourage each other through it. I feel like after shows, you know, we're always post-processing and kind of like, oh, like what happened on this song, or like this one felt really good, or, you know, bouncing it off of each other. And it's almost like we have to like say it out loud and vent it sometimes if there was something, you know, that was less than what we hoped it would be. But then after that, it's like, cool. And now it's done and we get to try again tomorrow. And people are so kind afterwards and it's great.
Good way to cap the year, huh?
Yeah. That collection of people, just so much wisdom, so much to learn from. Yeah.
Yeah. I really do. Like looking back, feel really grateful to have been able to spend time with people in the chateau and learn from them and get to know them and connect. Yeah.
Yeah. And grateful that people would listen to a podcast and then say, yeah, I'm willing to do that.
I'll do that. Yeah.
To come on here.
I'm willing to risk my entire professional reputation for that. Yeah.
To sit with you.
Sit with you ding dongs. Yeah, you could do that.
Oh man! And then doing that in that reflective way took me back to like we mentioned, it was such a transitional year and a lot of work. Yeah. It took me back to the first audio that we recorded here in Le Chateau.
Wow. Yeah. It's funny even hearing you mention the right before the Colleen episode, right? And just having sound issues, which was something that we had done pretty much our entire podcasting career. I remember that week that we recorded Colleen just working, I think it was like 12-hour days every day, right? Like 14-hour days and just showing up in my hair, like just looking like a piece of work. Like, okay, here we are. Let's do this. Yeah. I don't know if my cognitive faculties were in place that day or not.
We've been in the thick of it, that is for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
So yeah, would you be willing to just listen to our first entrance into that? We talk a little bit about moving over from the Dunny to Le Chateau, and then the introduction of buttons.
Yeah. Hashtag button game strong. Oh, show me that. That's a new one.
Yeah, we got some newbies.
I like that.
We got some newbies this year.
Oh, 20. Man, how are we going to fit that in any tactful way? I don't know if we fit any button game into a tactful way.
Tactful use of buttons?
Yeah, not a thing.
What are you talking about?
Not a thing in the chateau. Is that an animal?
It's a monkey. It's supposed to be a monkey.
Oh, it's a monkey. Dude, you're just going for it on the animals, man. Holy moly. That's exciting, man. 22 holds a lot. That's exciting.
Exciting. Is that the word for it?
For me, it is. Yeah. Because each new button, when I see you reach over, it's like, yeah, what's that?
What's coming?
What's that?
What's about to come?
Sounds like we have a whole zoo over there. Oh, wow. The Undertaker, I think.
We still got this one.
Yeah, that's a staple for our content. Yeah. And the crickets.
Man. I got another staple, another new staple for our content.
You just recorded our listeners.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Are you willing to give it a listen when we jump in?
Oh, heck yeah. Come on.
We back?
Dunny, we back.
We back. It's different, though.
This is very undunny.
This is not the Dunny that we're in.
Where are we?
Oh, we're in the Chateau L'Arborescence.
Chateau L'Arborescence.
Yeah.
Man, this sounds real fancy.
Yeah, we went from the Dunny to bougie.
Yeah. Just like that.
Just like that. Same caliber of content, though.
Yeah, we're going to be classing this down real quick. We're going to be bringing it down from the bougie.
For now, let's roll with the chateau instead of the dunny.
Let's just have our moment, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're in the chateau.
Chateau. Oui, oui.
Yeah. Here we go.
Man, it has been a long time. Oh, wow.
That's applause. Can you hear the crowd roaring?
Man, that sounds like millions of people excited that we're back on the podcast scene.
And that we're in the chateau.
And then we're in the chateau.
And that Dan got some buttons for the podcast.
Yeah. Man, this is going to be fun. I think our listeners are really going to enjoy that. Yep. Nailed it. Well done, man.
Nailed it.
We got a studio band back there with a drummer. We got that one's going to be used frequently.
That's probably the most spot on sound for us.
That button is at risk for being worn out quickly. That's for sure. That's for sure. Yeah. Wow, man. That'd be cool to listen to in 20 years, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Cool's the word I thought of.
Yeah, cool.
Oh, man.
It is. It's crazy, though, to think overall how the pod has evolved. You mentioned the other day something that you realized we'd lost sight of. Do you remember what that was?
Yeah, I don't know how or why, but the Senseman episode came up. I was listening to our Eric Senseman episode and the beginning, right? And I was like, oh, wow, we were super intentional about promoting community events and that sort of thing. I think we had mentioned a few things in there. And then just kind of reflecting on our intros from this past year, it was like very different.
Yeah, we lost the nice shouts and we lost the community event stuff.
Yeah, and so... Yeah, I think it would be important for us to look at bringing those back. Maybe not the nice shots. Who knows? Yeah, maybe occasionally, huh? But community events we want to highlight.
Yeah. So what you got for me?
Man, the first one that I got jumped into mind was from the Whale Foundation. And the Whale Foundation, their mission is to restore, promote, and celebrate the well-being of the Grand Canyon river guiding community. And then every year what they host is a celebration. It's called the Wing Ding. And so the Wing Ding is coming up in February, and it's a way that you can sponsor the event or contribute to Whale Foundation. And essentially what they do is they use that money to help provide counseling services to river guides and, also opportunities in scholarships and that sort of thing as well. So, if you have any interest in supporting the Whale Foundation, check out the Wing Ding.
Yeah.
They did also mention that it's on the fence with COVID, and they'll make an
judgment call.
Yeah.
What's the date?
I believe it was February 19th.
Okay.
I think it was February 19th, something like that.
Yeah. So check out the Well Foundation. They have a website that would have that event there, right?
Correct. Yeah. Well Foundation is February 19th.
Yeah. Supporting mental health amongst river guides.
Come on. Yeah.
Jump on. Yeah. I got one as well.
What do you got?
Yeah. Another staple of flag.
Yeah.
Lowell Observatory.
Pluto?
Yeah. Yeah. You know about this?
Oh, that joint's a planet, man. I'll argue to the death that it is.
Yeah. Oh, so this is the I Heart Pluto Festival. I thought you already knew that.
I'm in.
Yeah, man. All things Pluto.
Yeah.
Going on from Saturday, February 12th, all the way through March 21st. So for a month and a half or for a month and a week, they'll be doing. You can go check out their I Heart Pluto Festival, and they'll have like speakers and people addressing the nature of Pluto, whether it's a planet or not.
It is. So we can all gather and celebrate. We can defend its honor.
Yeah. Is it a planet the way that Lake Mary is blue?
Different than that.
Different than that?
Different
Okay.
than that.
All right. Yeah. So check that out.
Yeah. One of those is up for arbitration. We can go back and forth. Pluto's a planet, though.
Wow.
Hit him with the wow.
Wow.
Yeah, come on. That one still confuses me, but I love it.
It's labeled Wise Wizard.
That's the Wise Wizard.
Yeah.
And Schmelio
McCrokin. Experio is also from Harry Potter. I don't know if McCrokin is, but Experio McCrokin.
The Wise Wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the maybe the words that come to mind when I think of the Wise Wizard.
Yeah, but for these community events, this is what you got.
Yeah, come on. So find yourself there.
let's talk about our intentions for the podcast in 2022.
Come on, what do we got on the docket, man?
We got lots of buttons.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for hashtag Button Game Strong in 2022. Boom. Not a joke, but yeah, we can. Yes, applause. Yes. How long do you think our How long do you think our listeners will make it with the Button Game Strong? They might have already dipped out. The Wise Wizard might have sent everyone home.
Wise Wizard. Don't be aiming on the Wise Wizard.
Expelio McCroken. Yeah, you got it, man.
Yeah, the more you hate on him,
the more it's
the more rewarding it's going to become.
Oh
so if you want out of the Wise Wizard, you're going to have to stop referencing him.
Just stop giving it attention. Okay, I'll do that.
Isn't that the best way to extinction? Is
But we can always slip a psychological principle in here. Yeah. Come on, here's your quick and nerdy for the day.
So there's some operant conditioning that you've conditioned me to like Wise Wizard even more, and the way that you're going to want to move towards extinction is by not acknowledging
no attention enough.
Yeah,
blammo, you got it. All right, man. So looking ahead, 2022, exciting year.
Yeah.
22, which we'll learn was the soccer number of a good friend of ours here that we're going to have an interview for.
Yeah.
But what do we got coming up for the pod?
Oh, man, we got a few intentions. So like we just mentioned, we're going to reincorporate referencing things that are going on in the area. Mm-hmm. And then we have a couple of... we have like a new subsidiary series. So we have hashtag Beyond Flag, which is interviews with people to promote connection in the area and learn more about what people do here and how they connect to the area. Mm-hmm. And then we have Quick and Nerdies, where you and I banter about psychological topics and demonstrate our incompetence on varying levels.
Yeah.
And then we have a new sub-series that's going to be developed.
Okay. Which is...
I want you to say it because you crafted the name.
Ah, man. Yeah, so if you tune in, you'll learn more about it. But it's going to be called Crossing the Chasm.
Yeah.
And it will be hosted by Brian Peterson, which was one of our guests earlier on the pod.
Yeah, B. Pete, the pod god.
The pod god's going to be hosting Crossing the Chasm. And I'm really looking forward to that series.
Yeah.
Some of the ideas that are coming out of that sound really engaging.
His ability to articulate ideas and just radio smooth voice just stuck with you. So
yeah, I was like, man, we got to do something with this.
Yeah.
Which coincidentally, he actually wanted to do. He'd been thinking about doing anyway.
Yeah, just worked out fluidly, and we're pumped for. Yeah. So we have an intro episode that introduces the intention of that sub-series and plans moving forward for it, with B. Pete taking the lead.
Yeah, and Dan and I will be a part of that intro episode, but then after that, you'll have the pleasure of not having to experience our voices.
Yeah, and I don't know if you remember this, but we talk about our Frisbee throwing. Really important.
Yeah, really important. So everyone, please tune in to learn about our Frisbee experience. It will change your life.
And then our Quick and Nerdy series, we have another series that's going to be a few episodes.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. Just its relevancy and importance. Yeah, but we're going to be doing some Quick and Nerdies on social media.
Yeah. Yeah. And really in the context of mental health, because we've ended up in a rabbit hole with this, and there is so much information out there to consume.
I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. And so for us, it really came to mind as that whistleblower stuff came out last fall with Facebook. And so we wanted to look at, is social media yay or nay? Is it a correlate or not to what's going on in terms of mental health in the U.S.? And we wanted a definitive answer, and we're going to do our best to try and answer those questions.
Yeah, boo-hoo or booyah on social media.
Yeah.
Or is there some gray?
Yeah. That's the unfortunate side of everything, right?
Too much gray.
A lot of gray.
Yeah.
Which is fun to explore, but then difficult when you don't have a concrete answer. Right?
Oh, that's the truth.
So look forward to that.
Yeah, no doubt. The last thing we'll be doing for 22 is trying to incorporate more regular contributors to the pod. Yeah. Like trying to get some segments going with people that have maybe been on the pod before, or people who are maybe experts in a particular topic, and then get them to contribute a little bit on the podcast as well. Again, just to give you a little break from the monotony of Dan and Cody.
Yeah.
Pinky in the Brain.
Yeah.
Beavis and Butthead.
Speaking of Pinky in the Brain, that's a reference to, one of the combos, one of the pairs that we've written into our episode descriptions.
Yeah.
And we took the opportunity to have a phone call with one of our favorite listeners. And he referenced that from way back.
Yeah, that was way back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He referenced jorts. Man.
Yeah. Cracks me up. Yeah. So this is kind of maybe a little bit of us, like an intro to our social media series almost, as we, through the socials, came in contact with a person named Stephen Goldstein, Goldie Gold, and we've eventually developed the name. I think he actually called himself, this was #Holmes, as he provides very detailed, intricate, prolific, I think was the word Dan would use here.
Prolific, another level.
Yeah, just hashtags representing our podcast, and come to get to know him a little bit through social media and have developed a connection with this person. And so we thought it'd be fun to interview him on the phone as he's coming beyond Flag from North New Jersey.
Yeah, from New Jersey, just across from the George Washington Bridge, he said.
Yeah, it's wild. So yeah, this was kind of one of those things with social media that we wanted to throw out there and see maybe there's some benefits. Who knows?
Here we are with the man, the myth, the legend, Goldie Gold, #Holmes, Stephen, is it Goldstein?
Goldstein.
Goldstein. Goldie Gold, man. #Holmes is on the case.
Yeah.
Long-time fan, first-time caller, right? Literally. Goldie Gold is to all my friends, and I consider Cody and Dan as, even though we haven't had a chance to know each other except on the socials and the interwebs, it's been, I feel like I know you, and I feel like I know the campus of the Harbor of the West and the trails that you guys ride on. So it's it's really been a pleasure. And anytime you guys are dropping knowledge, whether it's, I guess up from the Dunny and then now down from the Chateau, it's been just great to tune in with, just two folks that just really kind of just bring joy and kind of make me happy, and frankly taught me a bunch about things that I knew nothing about, and frankly has in many ways, I think, connected me to a community, which really was, I think, the point of, or at least one of the foundations of Beyond Flag, was to connect people and connect the community, connect to others. And I think the fact that I'm talking to you from North Jersey, just across, the George Washington Bridge from Manhattan, and never been to Flagstaff in my life, but I feel like I've through you and through some of your guests and some of your topics, I feel like we've been connected. So it's been fun to call in and be that longtime fan, first time caller. So thanks for having me.
Oh man, you're making our day by being here.
This is a true pleasure, Goldie Gold. Yeah. Something you're speaking to for me is really fun. This is exactly why we outlined the pod. Is like we were saying, is we want to have a lot of fun, but also just connect people. So the fact that we're talking to someone from North Jersey right now in Flagstaff, and this is literally our first. This is our first meet. This is kind of novel in a lot of ways.
Yeah. First time speaking to the legend, Goldie Gold. And you haven't been to Flagstaff. We have not been to North Jersey. At least I'm not aware if you have, Cody.
I have not. No, I've never been to Jersey.
So
yeah.
Well, you've been to Gotham. You've been to the city, right? But in and out of New York. And
no, I've never been there either.
just by flights. So just layovers. Yeah. So really brief.
Just Google Earth.
Yeah, you're talking to two Southwest novices. The city would eat us up.
Oh, man, Gotham is such a great place. And from somebody, since this is our first time chatting, I was born in New York City, and my folks literally drove across in a VW Staywag, and we ended up settling in San Diego. So I grew up and was raised in San Diego. So spent most of my time there, and ended up going to school in Philadelphia. Ended up, one thing led to the next. And instead of going to UCLA, I ended up going to school in Philadelphia, Penn. Ended up meeting my wife. And so, be careful where you end up going to college. So I know you may end up kind of spending the rest of your life, kind of far away from where you came up. But I tell you, if there's a city that I think particularly in the pandemic, for me, kind of growing up in a suburban environment, and then even where I live now, tons of trees and basically like any other northeastern suburb, to be just within miles of New York City, I think the energy that city has, and even in its kind of darkest days in the midst of the pandemic, was just critical for me. I used to do my long runs into the city, literally kind of run across the bridge and find my way into Central Park and just try to soak up the energy that, frankly, a suburb just can't provide, right? And you need a super city, I think, in many ways, like Gotham is, or London, or Tokyo, or wherever that may be. But anyway, the next time, we'd like to get you guys here, beyond a layover, whether it's a pedal with you, Dan, or a run, with you, Cody. I'd love to show you some of the local haunts, whether it's in New York City or in and around New York City. It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, we would need it because we'd get lost and then just taken advantage of.
Just a couple beta males in the city. Yeah.
That sounds awesome. That would be so cool.
Yeah, thanks, Goldie.
So that was one way that we kind of connected with you, right? Was through running. So I think you bike and run as well. I bike and run, probably more biking than running, and Cody runs, and we got connected through various running communities. Is that right?
Yeah, no, I think it was strange. So it's funny, this is happening to follow some runners that were in and around Flagstaff, and I like some of the things that for example, Steph Bruce, what she was doing, and kind of she had run and set up a number of businesses, and the fact that her and her husband were kind of juggling everything, including kind of training partners, and I just found that interesting. And I had a chance to watch her on a couple different Instagram lives. One thing led to the next, and a couple other runners. I don't know if it was Peter Bromka, ended up talking about the Puzzi brothers, who obviously Jacob is the brother of Tommy Riz Puzzi. So through that, I think I ended up hearing a reference to Beyond Flag, and that's how we ended up getting connected. But I think you touch on, for me anyway, running and cycling. Running, I would say much more so than cycling, because I'm never going to be at that level of all the people I just referenced, right? I don't win races. You don't win marathons really, like, unless you're this kind of handful of folks. But what I enjoyed about running in the community is that you really are running against yourself, right? There's never the sense of being dropped as a runner, unless you're really a pro runner on a track, or, trying to hit an Olympic qualifier. But everybody else out there, kind of the schmucks of the world that are just out trying to run, and, you're really trying to run against yourself. Yeah. So, but I think that's how we ended up connected. And I love the episode that you did with Vince Sherry. Again, never been to the shop, but it sounded like some of the things that he was doing, and the fact that people really rallied around Ribs and put that whole Run with Ribs program together. That was just something that was really, I think, inspirational to so many people, not only those that are endurance athletes or runners or cyclists or whatever it is. I just think that, if you've been touched by any kind of illness, in this case, cancer, which I've lost people to cancer, and I'm sure tons of folks that are on your podcast, whether it's you personally, have all been touched by cancer, typically in the wrong way, right? So I think that's one of the ways that we ended up finding each other in a common thread. And even that's the case with, for example, Steph Bruce. I know that she lost her mom to cancer in the last year or so in the midst of the pandemic, nothing related to the pandemic. But so again, just these little connections that I think when you're talking about social media, you never would find that, right? I mean, how am I going to get the local paper? And if it wasn't for these, I think, platforms, I never would have found any of the folks that we've talked about today, including the two of you.
Yeah, it's pretty phenomenal, right? Yeah, this person from North Jersey connecting with these two schmucks from Flagstaff. Cody, one medium that Cody's seen you on the socials is Strava.
Yeah, Goldie, you're gonna have to explain your Strava post for me. It was really, again, so we found each other on Instagram, I believe, but then Strava, we now follow each other, and you use Strava in a very different way than everybody else that I follow. And it's in a way that I find very entertaining and really exciting, and then also feel really clueless on how you arrive at the posts that you make on Strava. So I was curious to know a little bit about your process for what leads to what pictures you choose for your workouts and your runs and your swims and the whole thing.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah. So I think I love Strava in the sense that it's again it's connected me to I think runners and athletes in some cases around the world. There's a few folks that I follow me that just dumb luck, right? It's not that again, that I'm a good enough runner that anybody should care about what I'm doing. But I just find that it's interesting to see where people go, and you see some of their routes. So for me, when I when I see what you're out doing, if you're doing an 8-mile run or a 10-mile run, Cody, gives me this sense of that I'm almost running in Flagstaff, the same thing that we talked about with, kind of the Northern Arizona elite. I can't run with them. I can't run at 7,000, but at least it gives me a sense of being connected to people who are in that community. But no, yeah, my Strava post, whether it's, kind of for just a regular workout or a big marathon, the pictures typically, there's always, numerology that's involved. It's typically if I do a picture of a motorcycle or anything, it's typically the numbers that I've done, right? So if I ran 22, and then I'll put 22 up there. 22 happens to be my soccer number. I've got a kid who's graduating high school in 2022. So there's all these different things. So in my mind, when you see a post about something that seems completely unrelated, usually there's a number that happens to do with the mileage that I did that day. And then usually, to be honest with you, even though I've done Peloton and other apps, I'm not throwing off the watts that some of these nuclear power plants that you see up on Strava can do. I'm just trying to get out there and log the miles. And when I do it, I just try to, whether I'm doing it on the trainer because it's cold, it's 16 degrees here today, I'll just jump on the trainer and I'll catch up with Ted Lasso, or I'll catch up with the morning show, or I'll catch up with a movie. So instead of, that's a lot of times what you'll see are just posts about what I'm watching. If I'm watching a Serie A game with AC Milan against Roma, I'll put that up there. And if something catches my eye, that'll be the picture. So that's typically what I do, because I know that I'm not going to break the watt record on any one of these leaderboards. So I'm just trying to go out there and once in a while I see somebody who comments on it, and I'm glad that somebody like yourselves find it either entertaining or interesting, or, kind of begs the question, what am I talking about and why does he post like this? That's funny.
Oh, I love it, man. Like, I showed Dan your posts and I'm like, look at this. This one says lifting, and then it's a picture of Bruce Lee with like just lifting. It's a picture of Hulk lifting. It's so entertaining.
It was great. It's like the modern day Da Vinci Code. He's got numbers. He's got numbers from race cars. And then if he's watching something that'll be thrown in there. It's like a puzzle. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, this helps me, Goldie Gold. One thing that for me that I always think about with your posts is that, like, they don't just post automatically. Like, you have to come up with that stuff intentionally, right?
Yeah, no, you're right. So I'll just sit there and again, I think if it weren't for Instagram more so than anything else, so I just find, right, just through some of the folks that I follow, like, I grew up racing motorcycles in the deserts of California, so I've always been connected to motorcycles and anything along those lines. So I happen to follow just a few feeds. So I get these, the feeds that come in are typically of race cars or motorcycles, or whether it's off-road or kind of street racing. And I catch those. I just do a quick screenshot and I just save them. And whenever I do a post, I just will have that coincide with an 18er or whatever else it is, whatever I happen to do. So it's just, yeah, I think there's some intention, and if I did some music or whatever I was listening to, or kind of a run mix that I put together, then I'll sometimes put that up there for folks to see kind of where my head was, what I was listening to. And like I said, to be honest with you, I didn't know anybody else was looking. I know people are looking because they give you kudos, but this is the first time I had a chat with somebody who said, "Hey, your posts are definitely, why do you keep posting?" That's not true. Some people ask me about Bruce Lee or Lou Ferrigno and the Hulk. Yeah. Anytime I go to get my lift on, I just try to bring a little bit of TV 80s culture, because, that's kind of how I came up.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I really love that you don't hold it too tightly. Like, you're having
and it's
fun.
like a connection to it too. It's like mindfulness. Like, what was going on for me then, or how many miles did I do? It's like this awareness to the activity. That's really cool. Yeah. For me, Goldie, the question I have is, you are, at least in interactions with us, prolific. And that's even an understatement when it comes to hashtags. Like, prolific hashtagger. And so I wonder, how did you get there? You're on another level. Yes. So how did your hashtag game get so strong?
It's funny. I think in all honesty, some of the hashtag, it just became this kind of irreverent game where clearly nobody is following the hashtag. There would only be one of those hashtags, right? Because usually it's a hashtag that comes across when I was listening most often to something like your podcast, right? Where it was something that that clearly was maybe just, I went through it and it caught my attention, and whether it was an interview or something that you had mentioned from, and dropping some knowledge from the Urban Dictionary or whatever else it was, it just kind of made me laugh. So to me, it's really just kind of poking fun of where we are in kind of digital, because at the end of the day, I'm an analog guy that just kind of stuck in a digital world, right? So in my mind, this is kind of like if we were on a ham radio. This is there's that sense of being connected, but also just of appreciating everything about what you do, kind of being outdoors, doing other things, trying to just treat whatever the digital platform is, kind of making fun. It's just fun, right? When I sit and listen, and now when you guys drop a podcast, for example, I really do like to sit back and listen and, something or quote. So to me, a hashtag is oftentimes just a way to just encapsulate what was a turn of phrase that I think is funny. That clearly it's not going to be trending on any platform. It's just a quote that you guys came up with, right?
Yeah, Pinky in the brain.
Well,
Pinky in the brain. Yeah.
Pinky in the brain. Who's who?
Sam and Frodo. Yeah.
Sam and Frodo. Mike D and Ad Rock.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys are calling me from the Shire, right?
Yeah, the Shire.
It does crack me up. And that's, you make this point, Goldie, that like when I read your hashtags, there's more than 3. There's probably 15 to 20. And you really like write them in a linear fashion of how the podcast episode goes. And so for me, it's so funny to read those because it's like, oh yeah, we talked about that sort of thing. And then to see what sticks with you. And then the thing that communicates to me also is that, just like you said, is you're really paying attention.
Yeah.
It blows our mind.
Oh, well, it doesn't after now. It's cool chatting with you in person in real time because I can hear the way you connect to what you're doing. Like you sound so present focused.
Yeah, no, I picked up obviously on a few things, and I think if we all can appreciate. I really enjoyed the fact that you aren't alone, the both of you, in terms of some of the important things that I think are often overlooked, whether it's gratitude or grace, and some of these things of being obviously present and connected and intentional. Those are all things I think in life, right? That maybe particularly now more so than ever. I think you just need to be reminded of that. And for me, listening to the podcast, even though it was coming from things that I didn't know much about, whether it's a dedicated mindfulness practice, John Kabat-Zinn, these things that I really I'm not an expert in, but I was like I could understand that. And what I appreciated was that oftentimes some of the topics that you were bringing or the guests that were on the podcast, sometimes maybe went out and I dug deeper into a particular area. Whether it was just as something as quick as doing a Google search on Enneagrams and kind of understanding, the different numerology behind that, and where do you fit? The Larry David, are you am I somewhere between the 2 and the 7? Of being a listener, but also being a little bit of a curmudgeon like Larry David, all those kinds of things. I'm not sure exactly what my number is, but I think I bounced between probably 2 different Enneagram numbers. I'm not sure which one I would classify myself as. 2 and 7, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Oh man, I can see the 2.
That makes a lot of sense. Well, I was thinking
7
too.
Yeah, I can see both those. What's funny is Cody. So Larry David's a 6, right? Is that I think,
according to the institute.
And out of the 2 of us, I think Cody
is way more curmudgeon-y.
I think I'm more Larry David than Cody, even though Cody's a 6.
Well, that's why I didn't wish you guys Happy New Year. It's beyond the statute of limitations for Larry David. It's only 3 days after the new year.
So if that's on your mind and you're making sure not to cross that boundary, that may be a sign of the Larry David. Yeah,
that's right. May you have a great 2022. But again, can't wish you Happy New Year beyond the statute of limitations.
Beyond the statute of limitations.
Oh man,
yeah. Hey Goldie, I want to go back to something. I was thinking back on when we first started interacting more on socials, and I think for me, I remember Run with Rivs was kind of it was around that time, and here in Flagstaff, that campaign or that social media movement really created a spirit in a lot of ways. I think there was a spirit of the air here in town, and a lot of people rallying and people talking about that. And that was also in the context of a pandemic and a really strange time. And I was curious to know, like, your experience with Run with Rivs being in North Jersey during that time.
I just thought it was such a, I think never met, obviously, Tommy Rivs. And I haven't met his brother. I haven't met his father. But, again, on social media, Kim Puzzi, who's his father, ended up following me. And I ended up going to his Instagram page because of the books that he reads. I've actually read 2 or 3 books because of some of the things that I saw him reading. So I found that family, I think, and obviously I don't know his daughters and I don't know Steph. I don't know any of those folks. But I just found how they came up and some of the messaging that they were putting out, and obviously both, really, good times in terms of they were just talking about training. And that was, I would say that I followed Jacob specifically, who I think really took on, a burden that is so difficult in any family, right? When you end up having to be the face in many ways of his brother's recovery and that plight that I think was beyond, really any kind of compare that people are going to go through. So I just found it inspiring that you could be a part of it. So my Run with Rivs, whether it was, I would do, he spoke Spanish or he speak both of they really emphasize language and travel. So sometimes my Strava post would be Auto con Rivs, or, I would do Diciannove con Rivs, or whatever it was that was, the mileage I did. And I did it well beyond that 1 week period where they raised so much, so many funds for that particular family and for helping out, with what was obviously a gargantuan amount of healthcare bills. So again, it was just inspirational, and it was a way to feel that I had a connection to not only kind of getting better and surviving and metabolizing, cancer, but also being a part of just, I think a family that really just inspired me, literally, just in terms of some of the things that they were doing. And I found that to be the case with the entire Puzzi family, from the music in terms of A.G. Legrand, who's, one of the brothers that, 2 of the brothers are performers, and obviously both Tommy and Jacob are amazing endurance athletes. So it's just been an interesting peek into a life that I know very little about. But just, I'm always fascinated just because I think they have been putting so much, I think, positivity out there. Was the sense that I took from that family, and then obviously the way that the community of Flagstaff initially, and then really the globe, came to support, I think, Tommy and Steph and his, the girls. All that was really powerful, and it was nice to contribute to that. And whatever you ended up contributing, whether it was time, dollars, or lira, or euros, or yen, or frankly miles or kilometers, it was one of the more powerful ways to get behind something. I felt as somebody who's I've been involved in other charitable contributions during the course of my life, but this one felt like you really could get up close and personal to it. So it was really engaging.
Was it the social media aspect of it that created that ability to feel up close and personal to it?
Yeah, I think without being able to post, whether you're posting to Strava or whatever you were doing, however you chose to stay connected, there obviously was a GoFundMe page, and I think that's still up, and you could obviously you contribute that way, right? It in my mind, it was such a, I think the socials just amplified, in this case, the good, right? It meant that people from Argentina or from Osaka could feel connected to this family that was going through, just a horrific set of circumstances, and to do so in a way that was positive to, cancer research, and also to their individual plight as a family. And obviously it's great to see it. I saw Tommy Rivs, he did that amazing walk of the New York City Marathon, right? So I think now, instead of thinking about, your Boston qualifiers, people are thinking about I think it took him, 15 hours to walk New York City Marathon. So from literally the ICU to being able to walk the course and finish it, in my mind, again, just really speaks to his grit and resolve, and again, continues to inspire so many people that I don't even think that he and his brother and the family ever thought that his reach would be as big as it is. But that's kind of what kept me connected. And without socials, there's no way that how could you ever see the good work or be a part of something like that if there wasn't a community that was beyond the folks that just knew that family. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, during that time, like it really seemed like that family became the epicenter of almost the globe in this sort of way, and particularly for this culture. And it was just staggering to see that take place. And it seems to me that like one of the unintended effects of that really was that, you know, the emphasis for me is to get help to Rivs and to bring awareness to the situation he was in and to raise funds to help. And then the unintended effects was then all these people became connected through that movement in a way. And that's kind of how, for me, I see how we became connected also.
Yeah, no, it was powerful. And I think, it's nice to be a part of something, you know, and again, there's so many great institutions, and whether it's, you know, Sloan Kettering or Anderson, you know, there's many, many places where you can get involved and be connected, and Cycle for Survival and other things are ways to, you know, have an impact with cancer or, you know, rare cancers in the case of what's going on with Cycle for Survival. So there's ways to do that. But you're right. I just thought that, again, maybe it was just because there was this connection. I had a chance to see some interviews and get to know Tommy and his brother and his family before even this was going on a little bit, just through the socials and interviews and podcasts and those kinds of things. So you just felt more connected than you obviously were. And I think it was a powerful tool to rally people around, what's important, not only for that family, but frankly, what's important in general for people who are struggling with cancer and getting through it.
Yeah. And at that time, just struggling with the pandemic, and, you know, you alluded to a difficult couple of years. Yeah. So one of the big benefits for us just directly through that was connecting with Goldie Gold, getting #Homes on the case.
Yeah, getting #Homes on the case and exposure to the mind of Goldie Gold and the brilliant hashtags you produce.
Yeah. Prolific. Another level.
Yeah.
#different level. #Homes.
Checking levels.
Yeah. It's been so great connecting with you. Even just talking with you now, it just puts a smile on our face, and you bring so much lightness and levity, but also thoughtfulness, just in dialogue here, and then to the comments that you've been willing to offer us. We genuinely appreciate it, Goldie Gold.
Yeah.
Well, the feeling's mutual, and I think like I said, it was exciting to watch the both of you, I think, kind of irreverently tackle some topics that, again, I think are heady topics that, you know, I think piqued my curiosity, but frankly, you did it in a way that was just funny, whether it's the Ted Lasso references or some of the little things that you did. So now I guess I feel like at least maybe we're a part, you know, I guess now I'm part of the Diamond Dogs, right? So we can be a part of this is the triumvirate and try to solve some. Well, we're solving nothing except, right, I think, connecting and sharing joy, right? And that's the same thing. So as much as you felt that maybe I was a fan, and, you know, I have been, but it's also completely mutual and reciprocal, because when you were dropping a new podcast, whether it was an interview for somebody who I found that was fascinating, or was just a topic that was important for me to maybe think about, or maybe wasn't something I knew a little about, I think you did it in a way that was very much inviting and brought people in to maybe question more and maybe dig deeper into whatever that was, whether it was mindfulness or, you know, grace, gratitude, having a mindfulness practice, whatever it was. It just made me more interested into it, as opposed to feeling like it was something that is just too intellectual, and I couldn't approach it. So thank you for that. It's been fun just seeing what you're doing and keeping connected to you and the community and the folks that you bring into, I think, your kind of orbit has been a lot of fun for me. So thank you.
Yeah, no doubt. Thank you.
Yeah, drops coming.
We'll keep dropping pod. That's what we do naturally. Yeah. And out here, we're not the Diamond Dogs. We call us the Desert Dogs. So you can be a desert dog from Jersey.
North Jersey desert dog.
North Jersey desert dog.
And then, oh man, if Cody and I can make it work to get out to Gotham and have Goldie Gold just guide us on a run through Central Park there, make sure that we don't get robbed and mugged because of our baitiness.
Swindled.
Not because of the caliber of people, just our baitiness being so apparent.
Here's a couple suckers.
We'd be so pumped to make it happen.
And same if you ever visit the Southwest, you got a place to stay, you got a tour guide. Yeah. If you ever come to Flagpole, Goldie would love to host you.
Well, I'd love to come and spend some time in the Shire with you both. And again, I feel like I've been connected. Whether it's hopefully I'll come out there. It's a little chilly now, but you can get some Jort weather. I can see.
Come on. Yeah, I'm counting the days.
That's a throwback. That's a long time listener. Throwback reference to the jorts.
I can't wait, man.
Well, no, but thank you so much for bringing me in and having, I guess, bringing me into a world that I knew very little about, but feel really connected to. And if it weren't for the both of you, I wouldn't have been able to have that happen. So again, Desert Dogs for sure. And thank you for making me honorary member and get some of that Beyond Flag swag. When that gets out there, let's make sure that we, the logo's there. There's the, appreciate any of it. You guys are doing really good things and important things. I think for people that are looking for, crack a smile or have a little chuckle. That's what I think it's
we're good for that.
Side of that.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate Goldie.
Yeah. Well, if we made some swag, you'd be the first person we'd be mailing that off to. So
no doubt. If you want to wheat paste a building in New York City for us, we'll send you the material.
So thank you so much for your time, and not Happy New Year, but all the best in 2022.
Statute of limitations. Yeah.
Thank you, boys.
Thanks, Goldie.
Take care.
Yeah, take care.
Man, Goldie Gold with a heart of gold.
Oh, the heart of Goldie Gold. Man, that is good. How fun was that?
So fun. Man, such a good guy.
Yeah, just engaged and connected. Yeah, it seems like you're saying, he just puts all of his attention into what he's doing.
Yeah. And so then he crafts, how he responds to people. He's so thoughtful. Yeah. Thoughtful, I guess, is a good word for it too. Just takes things, and thinks about them, mulls them over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and our relationship really came about through social media, and so none of that would have happened. Our friendship with Goldie Gold and our connection to him and his connection to everything he talked about there in the interview, and that was a byproduct of social media.
And frankly, the way he engages social media and using his own unique spin on it, it would be hard not to see that as a benefit in his life, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, his experience is a product of the approach.
So, booyah or boona?
Booyakasha, maybe no. We'll have socials, to see.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned as we dip into that social media. Is it good for mental health, bad for mental health? What is it?
Is it mental health?
What?
The look on your face, man. If we were taping this, that'd been
cantankerous Larry David Dan.
Why would you ask that? Stupid.
What a dumb
question.
What a dumb thing to say. What a dumb series of words to put together into a question.
A human brain developed that and then thought, yeah, let's throw that out there. My human brain just took that information in and had to respond to it.
My information.
Why are you getting in my time and space with
now forced to respond and qualify that conglomerate of words you just threw out.
And the whole motivation just being to create this right now. What everyone just experienced.
That's what it's like. It's like you positively reinforcing me with Wise Wizard when you criticize it, and you just loving when the gears grind to a halt.
Just smiling, so happy.
When you can tell I have no idea what to do with what you just said.
I get super sick jollies out of those moments. Yeah.
All right. That. Look forward to those in 2022.
No doubt. Want to take us out by shouting us out?
We got to do that in reverse.
Man, I know. I was going to see if maybe you went for it, man.
I want to know the first way to start. Why don't you take us out by shouting us out?
No doubt. You can always find us on the interwebs, www.beyondflag.com, flag spelled
FLG.
And we are on that Twitterverse and we're on that Instagram kind of sometimes. And you can also find us beyond_flag.
Yeah.
In the meantime, stay tuned.
Take care.
Lovies.